June 25th, the Immaculate Heart of Mary. My mother would often tell us that the worst experience a parent can have is to bury a child. I suppose she brought that up to guilt us into not doing anything too stupid, but she had a point. On too many occasions, we have seen mothers grieving over their lost children, whether it's because of vicious bombing of civilians in Ukraine, terrorist attacks in Nigeria, gang wars, school shootings, or street violence in our own backyard. We can add to that the untimely deaths of children and young people to cancer and other diseases, traffic accidents, and natural disasters. No matter what the cause, it's heartbreaking to see devastated mothers having to bury their beloved children whom they have borne, nurtured, guided, and protected with total love and devotion. It's a relationship like no other, and to have it torn away causes unimaginable suffering and often leaves deep scars. When we observe this feast of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, we recall how her heart was broken by the 7 sorrows that revolved around the death and burial of her son Jesus. It's parallel to yesterday's solemnity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, which was pierced for love of us. The first reading from Lamentations, which contains some of the most poignant words in all of Scriptures about Jerusalem lamenting the destruction of her people, applies equally well to Mary and to all mothers who mourn their children. Dealing with trauma is hard, and we are tempted to withdraw into denial, anger, or cynicism. Having been hurt so badly by daring to give our hearts in love, we wonder if it's worth it. As Tina Turner sang in her popular hit, "What's Love Got to Do with It?" Who needs a heart when a heart can be broken? The greatness of Mary is that she did not go that way. She knew from the very beginning that her unique call to bear the Savior would push her to the limit, and that was confirmed by the prophecy of Simeon that a sword would pierce her heart. The incident in today's gospel, the finding of the child Jesus in the temple, was one of many that caused her great anxiety and grief. Yet she always remained totally devoted to her son, while holding in her heart the mystery of his identity, so beautiful and so dangerous at the same time. She stayed by his side when he launched into his public ministry, no doubt with much foreboding as he challenged the secular and religious powers reigning there. She followed him all the way to the cross when her worst fears were realized, and she lovingly received his broken body into her arms with the greatest tenderness. Even that did not exhaust her reservoir of motherly love, as she accepted the charge from her dying son that she become the mother of the beloved disciple, and through him of all the faithful. That's a challenge we all face when we have suffered a heart-rending tragedy. Can we remain vulnerable and continue to give ourselves in love, or do we draw back in order to protect ourselves? Yet to stop loving is to stop living. The only way forward is to continue to care, continue to love. We have so many examples of families who have suffered the worst forms of tragedies in losing their children, yet have refused to be defeated by the experience, but rather have put their energies into working for peace, for reconciliation, for gun control, for a cure to a fatal disease, for greater legal protection for young people, for whatever would prevent other families from having to go through what they went through. By doing so, they were able to redeem that dark moment by turning it into something positive. In that way, they not only helped others, but helped themselves by finding meaning in their suffering and a reason to keep living and loving. One notable example occurred in Belfast, Northern Ireland in 1976. After a car driven by an IRA member who was shot by British soldiers slammed into a mother and her 4 children, killing 3 of them, the mother's sister, Mary Corrigan, and a witness to the tragedy, Betty Williams, organized a Mother's March against violence. The women, both Catholic and Protestant, many pushing baby carriages, marched through Belfast in the face of verbal and physical attacks. They continued to march as the movement grew from 10,000 to 50,000 to 100,000 and spread as far as Dublin and London. While the movement did not immediately end the Civil War, it was a first step in delegitimizing the violence and beginning a process that eventually led to negotiations to end the sectarian war. The efforts of the organizers won them the Nobel Peace Prize in 1976. In this feast, Mary teaches us that the way to deal with traumatic loss is not to run away and hide from it, but to double down and love even more. That takes courage and faith, but it's the only way to healing and new life.